content is for educational purposes only, drawing from our professional and educational experiences and opinions. Please use this information at your own personal or professional discretion. We are not liable for anything you do with this information. All are welcome to contribute electrical questions. No free advertising for any organization or personal business. Please do not mention names of individuals, organizations, or municipalities. No profanity. Respectful dialogue only. No electrical code calculation questions. No engineering questions. Now, tune in for valuable insights and join the conversation. Please, no code calculation questions.
Good evening. Welcome to Ask the Lady Electrical Inspector podcast. I am your host, Tabatha L. Tonight, I will outline critical electrical standards and requirements on Article 200, use and identification of grounded conductors. Common reasons why this article failed electrical inspections. Also, I will answer electrical questions received from homeowners and the electrical industry. In this episode, I will cover key NEC requirements as specified in Article 200, underlining the importance in electrical installation. I will give common reasons why this article failed electrical inspections. I will answer electrical questions received from the homeowners and the electrical industry. Tune in for a comprehensive discussion that will enhance your understanding of the electrical code and best practices. Common reasons why this article failed electrical inspections. Article 200.2b. The grounded conductor, neutral conductor terminates on the equipment grounding conductor bar. This is a violation of the National Electrical Code. The neutral conductor is not allowed to terminate on the grounding bar. It cannot depend on the metal can. It cannot solely depend on the metal can. This is why you have the standoff bars in your panel. The neutral conductor is only allowed to terminate on the neutral conductor bus bar and terminals. Article 200.4a. The neutral conductors must not be used for more than one circuit or multi-wire circuit. You're only allowed to use the neutral conductor for one circuit. Article 200.4b. Neutral conductor in each circuit must be identified or grouped by a approved means, a tie wrap or tape. When you enter the panel, your circuit must be identified by tie wire or tape. Article 200.6. 6-odd, smaller, the installation of a neutral or grounded phase conductor 6-odd or smaller must be identified by any of the following means: a continuous white outer finish, a gray outer finish, 3 continuous white or gray stripes along the entire length on any conductor other than green insulated conductors. I've seen that where a ground green conductor will be wrapped with white or gray tape. That is a violation of the National Electrical Code. Outer covering of a white or gray color with color tracer threaded in the braid identified the source of the manufacturer. Article 200.7c1. The white or gray conductor within a cable can be used to supply power to a switch if re-identified as a phase conductor at each location where the conductor is visible. In this instance, what they're referring to is when you're running NM cable, also known as Romex. It has to be identified when it is visible. You may use it as a power, as a hot, but it must be re-identified as a phase conductor at each location where it's visible. So that would be at the switch box and at the junction box where your lighting outlet will terminate. The NEC does not permit the use of gray or white conductors installation for phase conductors within a raceway, even if it's permanently re-identified. Another common problem I have, Article 408.41. Each neutral conductor within a panel board must terminate in an individual terminal. You're not allowed to double lug neutrals. Do not double lug neutrals. A grounded conductor shall terminate in one terminal. Article 100.14a. The terminals are listed for one conductor unless marked otherwise. This situation is when, if you have a larger size neutral conductor, it has to terminate under one listed terminal that can accept all of the conductors. You're not allowed to split the neutral conductor and put it under two terminals or three. That's not allowed. And that is the article that I reference when I find that issue. Now I will go to the questions and answers from the homeowners in the electrical industry. Can wire mold be installed inside a wall or under plaster sheet rock? Wire mold, technical slang for surface metal raceway, Article 386. The answer is yes. Article 386.10.4, use permitted through walls and floors if access to the conductors is maintained on both sides of the wall, partition, or floor. So the key here, if you do use wire mold, also surface metal raceway, and it goes through a wall, you are allowed to do that as long as you have access to the cover, to remove the cover. The wiring has to be accessible. Question: inside a panel, can you pass protected conductors in the gutter space as unprotected conductors? No. I referenced NEC 2020, Article 230.7. Conductors other than service conductors shall not be installed in the same raceway or cable or service cable in which the service conductors are installed. Article in the National Electrical Code 2023, Article 230.7 has a text deletion. The circuit conductor other than the service conductor shall not be installed in the same raceway, cable, handheld enclosure, or underground boxes as service conductors. This is why you have a choice to have a bottom feed panel or a top fed panel. The service conductors are supplied by the utility company, and that comes solely from the utility. And once you enter your panel, now you have branch circuits. In my opinion, I think that the reason that is because they want to separate the branch circuits from your inside of your home versus the utility. So if anything happens on the utility side, if they're not mixed together, it will cause less harm for your branch circuits inside your home or business. That's my opinion. If you have a better explanation, please email me and give me your explanation. What is the minimum size disconnect for a garage? I referenced Article 225, outside branch circuits and feeders. And when they ask for a minimum size disconnect, I'm assuming that it's a detached garage, because if it's attached, you don't need a disconnect at that structure, only if it's detached. So the article I'm going to reference, Article 225.31a, disconnecting means shall be provided for disconnecting all ungrounded conductors that supply or pass through the building or structure. Article 225.26, the disconnecting means specified in Article 225.31 shall be a circuit breaker mode case, a switch, a general use snap switch, or other approved means. Were applied in accordance with Article 250.32b1. Exception 1. The disconnecting means shall be suitable for use as service equipment. Article 225.39. The rating of the disconnect or branch circuits disconnecting means shall have a rating not less than the calculated load to be supplied, determined in accordance with Part 1, 2 of Article 220 for branch circuits, Part 3 or 4, Article 220 for feeders. The minimum rating for a disconnecting means for installation consisting of a single branch circuit, the disconnecting means shall have a rating of less than 15 amps. 225.39a. So to answer your question, the minimum, the bare minimum that you can have at a garage, and that would be a snap switch or a toggle switch, single pole switch, would be 15 amps. And that depends on what you're feeding. I'll get into that. For installations consisting of 2-wire branch circuits, the feeder disconnecting means must not have a rating of no more than 30 amps, 225.39b. For a one-family dwelling, the disconnecting means must have a rating of at least 100 amps, 3-wire. For all other installation, the feeder or branch circuit disconnecting means must have a rating of at least 60 amps, 225.39d. I want to go into that a little bit because that's somewhat a little confusing. If you're running a circuit out to a detached structure, a garage or a detached structure, the code requires that you have a disconnect at a readily accessible location. Depending on what you're feeding out there, you could be feeding something as simple as lights or receptacles. So the minimum that's allowed would be a 15 amp. But if you know in the near future that you're going to be feeding a car charger, or you're going to be adding equipment out there for your garage, for just equipment, if you're going to be adding anything out there and you want to add a 100 amp panel, then you would need a ground rod and so on and so forth. So just keep that in mind, that the minimum, if you're just feeding simple lights in a receptacle, is 15 amps. And it has to disconnect all ungrounded conductors. Question: for buried raceways in a gas station driveway, what is the depth requirement and why? Table 300.5a. The minimum depth requirement for a raceway buried under a garage, under a gas station driveway is 24 inches. This is because the driveway are considered a street, highway, or road, alley, parking lot, which mandates the 24 inches. That's the maximum that is required. The minimum, that's the minimum, because you can go as deep as you would like, but the minimum would be 24 inches. If you replace a panel and the conductors are too short, can you splice the new conductors to make them longer? Yes. Article 312.8.A, a switch and overcurrent device enclosures, splices, taps, and feed-through conductors. The wiring space of the enclosure for switches or overcurrent device shall be permitted for conductor feeding through, spliced, and tapping off to other enclosures, switches, or overcarrying devices where all of the following conditions are met. So you do have conditions when you are splicing. So the total of all conductors installed in any cross-section of wiring space does not exceed 40% of the cross-sectional area of that space. The total area of conductor, splice, and taps installed at any cross-sectional of wiring space does not exceed 75% of the cross-sectional area of that space. The bending space for conductors for odd and larger complies with 314.28A2. A warning label complying with Article 110.21b is applied to the enclosure that identify the closest disconnecting mean for any feed-through conductor. And I would add to that, because they're asking if the conductors are too short. So you would have to use an approved. Now, if the conductors, like the branch circuit conductors, are too short, you are allowed to splice as well with a recognized listed connector, wire nuts. Listed wire nuts for that. But for the feeder cables or the service cables, I know that you are allowed to use what they refer to as Polaris lugs. It has to be a approved means. So Polaris lugs are one of those connections where it is allowed, where you are allowed to splice in the panel. Question: what is meant by grouping conductors inside a panel? I spoke of that early on. When you're entering a panel, Article 210.4D, grouping the grounded and the grounded conductors, circuit conductors of each multi-wire branch circuit shall be grouped in accordance with 200.4B. You just need to group your circuit conductors together by an approved mean, such as tape or tie wrap. Question: can an electrical panel be installed in a bathroom? Are there any exceptions? No. Article 240.24, overcurrent protection. Not located in bathrooms. Overcurrent protection devices other than supplementary overcurrent protection shall not be located in bathrooms, showering facilities, or locker rooms with showering facilities, even if it's an existing panel. The panel, if you're going to change out an electrical panel and install a new electrical panel, that has happened on occasions where the electrical panel has been installed in the bathroom, maybe hasn't been inspected. And when you go it's the electrical contractor responsibility to inform the homeowner that this will not pass code. How I've seen this, how I have seen this rectified. They will change that electrical panel in that bathroom to a junction box and extend the electrical cables over to the new section of wherever they need to install the panel. But the panel is not allowed to be installed in the bathroom. It cannot be grandfathered in. The electrical contractor must install the new panel according to the National Electrical Code. Question: what is temporary wiring? Article 590, temporary installation. The scope. The provisions of this article applies to temporary electrical power and lighting installation. You can learn all about temporary wiring in Article 590, but I'll give you some highlights. Except as specified, modified in this article, all other requirements of this code for permanent wiring shall apply to temporary wiring installation. Temporary wiring, Article 590.3, time constraints. A, during the period of construction, temporary electrical power and lighting installation shall be permitted during the period of construction, remodeling, maintenance, repair, or demolition of building, structure, equipment, or similar activities. B, 90 days. Temporary electrical power and lighting installation shall be permitted for a period not to exceed 90 days for holiday, decorative, lighting, and similar purposes. C, emergency tests. Temporary electrical power and lighting installation shall be permitted during emergencies and for tests, experiments, and developmental work. D, removal. Temporary wiring shall be removed immediately upon completion of electrical construction projects or the purpose for which wiring was installed. Tune in next Wednesday, and I will give you a list of GFCI and service receptacle locations. My goal is to be proactive in preventing future non-compliant issues before the inspections. If you have any questions or comments, or you would like to add to this discussion, please contact me on any of my social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, under the moniker Ask the Lady Electrical Inspector. Or you can email me at askthelady@gmail.com with any questions or feedback or electrical concerns. Thank you for tuning in. Good night.